Hare Krishna, Mataji. Should I start or wait?
Haribol, Mataji. What was that? Sorry?
Should I start or wait until it comes?
No, let's wait. Let's
Let's
wait a little bit, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. The reason I say that is because the YouTube thingy won't start recording till 7:30, I think.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's very nicely set up it is, isn't it, Mataji?
What was that, Mataji? I can't hear you.
It's very nicely set up, isn't it? The YouTube.
The YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it looks good. Rishi is amazing.
Yes.
We have some really talented devotees.
Yes.
You want to start, Mataji?
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo.
जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद् अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Jai,
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
Jai,
गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल ऑल
Hari
ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड गौरांगा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्रील प्रभुपाद. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome you all on behalf of ISKCON Brisbane to our daily morning reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I seek permission and blessings from Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Maharaj, and our entire Guru Parampara, so that I can speak something on the glorification of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And I also speak blessings from you. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. All of you devotees, Vaishnavas, please forgive me. Please correct me if I make any mistakes or offenses. So we are reading from Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, and Chapter 1 titled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrat. So as we know, Canto 3 and 4, Maitreya and Vidura were having a dialogue. Maitreya Vidura Samvad was going on in Canto 3 and 4. So here in 5th Canto also this dialogue is continuing. So in 3rd Canto, Maitreya Rishi, he gave us example of Daksha, first son of Lord Brahma. And then he started talking about another son of Lord Brahma, Swayambhuv Manu. So Swayambhuv Manu, he had two sons, Uttanapad and Priyavrat. So entire 4th Canto, Maitreya Rishi was describing the whole dynasty of this first son, Uttanapad. And now from 5th Canto, he is describing the dynasty of Priyavrata. So in the very first verse of our first chapter of 5th Canto, Parikshit Maharaj is introducing Priyavrat to us. He's saying, Raja Uvacha, Priyavrato Bhagavata Atmaramaha Katham Mune. So Priyavrat is being introduced as a Bhagavat, a very great, exalted devotee, self-realized devotee, Atmaram. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives us more information about this King Priyavrat, that Narad Muni was his guru, and Narad Muni was very thoroughly and perfectly instructing him about the real purpose, the goal of human life, which is self-realization, to realize who I am, and returning to Godhead. So that was Narad Muni was teaching him, and he was also being trained in the principles of Naishtika Brahmacharya, total celibacy by Narad Muni. Okay, so that is what Priyavrat is. He is Priyavrata Bhagavata Atmarama. He is a very exalted devotee. That is already being said in the first verse only. Now, King Parikshit, if you remember at the end of 4th canto in chapter 31, verse 27, Shukdev Goswami said that this Priyavrat, he ruled the world, he had sons, he enjoyed all the material possessions, and then later in his life, he divided his property among his sons. And after all this living a full-on material life, then he went back to Godhead. So then Parikshit, he was what? When Parikshit hears that Priyavrat is such an exalted devotee. So first Priyavrat was detached from the worldly opulence, and then he became attached to his kingdom, and then finally he became detached from this material enjoyment, and he went back to Godhead. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he heard this whole life story of Priyavrat, very briefly, then Parikshit Maharaj is struck with wonder. So he couldn't help asking that then if he was such a devotee, then why he chose to become a king and enter householder life and enjoy this material life to such an extent. So then Shukdev Goswami starts answering, and well, Shukdev Goswami he's giving a very detailed answer until the 6th chapter of this whole canto, until the 6th chapter, until half of this book. Shukdev Goswami is uninterruptedly he's describing the whole dynasty of Priyavrata, what were the circumstances, how he had to become the king. And then every now and then, throughout the whole 5th canto, once in chapter 6 and later in chapter 13, and like that, every now and then Parikshit asks the follow-up questions and that is how our 5th canto flows. So in our today's verse, that is where Shukdev Goswami starts responding to Parikshit Maharaj's question. So Parikshit Maharaj's question, it was in verse 1 to 4 of this chapter, and now Shukdev Goswami is going to start speaking from today. So, and Shukdev Goswami is explaining Priyavrata's position that yes, yes, Parikshit Maharaj, whatever you are saying is right. Once a devotee is always a devotee. But Priyavrat is the son of Swayambhuv Manu. He is born in a royal life. So his father wants him to rule. But then Narad Muni is instructing him not to enter the household life, remain Naistika Brahmachari. So there is a conflict of authorities for Priyavrat. Guru wants one thing and father wants completely opposite thing. So then who will solve Lord Brahma? So Lord Brahma knew that Narad Muni's instructions, they were so strong that Priyavrat, he would not simply accept rulership just because his father is saying. So that is why then Lord Brahma, he personally had to come from Satyaloka to Bhuluka to Gandhamadhan Hill where Priyavrat was to convince him. And like that, Shukdev Goswami explains and satisfies Parikshit Maharaj's curiosity. And in these conversations is where we, the beneficiaries of Bhagavatam, we get to drink so much more and more nectar. And at the same time, as we relish the nectar, we get to learn valuable lessons on how we can be careful in our own Krishna consciousness. So without further delay, we will go to verse 5 and we'll find out what Shukdev Goswami starts his response to Parikshit Maharaj's question with. So let's go to verse 5:1-5. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim
नारायण इति व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये
saraswati vyasam tato jayamudire
देवीं
nashtaye
सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयं
जयमुदीरये
नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So this text 5, it is a passage written in Gadya. It is a text rather than Padya. Most of Bhagavatam verses, as we know, they are written in Padya. They can be sung. They are written in some specific meters, chandas, and that's why we can sing them in nice tunes. But this is a Gadya. So I will chant, and you please repeat after me, and then we will go straight to the word to word. श्रीशुक उवाच
श्रीशुक उवाच
बाणमुक्तं भगवत उत्तमश्लोकस्य
पादं मुक्तं भगवत उत्तमश्लोकस्य
श्रीमच्चरणारविन्दमकरन्दरस आवेशितचेतसो
श्रीमच्चरणारविन्दमकरन्दरसावेशितचेतसो
भागवत परमहंस दयितकथाम्
भागवत
परमहंस
कथम
किञ्चित् अन्तराय विहतां स्वाम्
किञ्चित् अन्तराय विहितं स्वाम्
शिवतमां पदवीं न प्रायेण हिन्वन्ति
शिवतमां पदावीं
Now let's go to word. Shri Shukah Uvacha.
Shri
Shri Sukdev Goswami said.
Shri Sukadeva Goswami said,
Badham.
Badham.
Correct. Uktam. What you have said.
What you have said.
Bhagavataha. Of the personality of Godhead.
Of the personality of Godhead.
Uttama Shlokasya.
Uttama Shlokasya.
Who is praised with excellent verses.
Who is praised with excellent verses.
Srimad-charana Aravinda.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Aravinda.
Of the feet which are just like the most beautiful fragrant lotus flowers.
Of the feet which are just like the most beautiful fragrant lotus flowers.
Makaranda. Honey. Rase. In the nectar. Aveshita. Absorbed. Chetasaha. Whose hearts. Bhagavata. To the devotees. Paramahansa. Liberated persons. Daita. Pleasing. Katham. Glorification. Kinchit. Sometimes. Antaraya. By impediments. Vihatam. Checked. Swam. Own. Shiva Tamam. Most exalted. Padavim. Position. Na. Do not. Prayena. Almost always. Hinvanti. Give up. Please hear the translation by Krishna Krupamurti, His Loving Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Please hear. Sri Sukdev Goswami said, what you have said is correct. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised in eloquent transcendental verses by such exalted personalities as Brahma, are very pleasing to great devotees and liberated persons. One who is attached to the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet, and whose mind is always absorbed in his glories, may sometimes be checked by some impediment, but he still never gives up the exalted position he has acquired. We'll read the purport now. It's a long purport. So in the first paragraph, Prabhupada says, Sri Sukdev Goswami accepted both of the king's propositions, that a person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness cannot embrace materialistic life again, and that one who has embraced materialistic life cannot take up Krishna consciousness at any stage of his existence. Although accepting both these statements, Shukdev Goswami qualified them by saying that a person who has once absorbed his mind in the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may sometimes be influenced by impediments, but he still does not give up his exalted devotional position. Second paragraph. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are two kinds of impediments to devotional service. The first is an offense at the lotus feet of Vaishnava. This is called Vaishnava Aparadh. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned his devotees not to commit Vaishnava Aparadh, which he described as the mad elephant offense. When a mad elephant enters a beautiful garden, it destroys everything, leaving a barren field. Similarly, the power of Vaishnava Aparadh is so great that even an advanced devotee becomes almost devoid of his spiritual assets if he commits it. Since Krishna consciousness is eternal, it cannot be destroyed altogether, but advancement may be checked for the time being. Thus, Vaishnava Aparadh is one kind of impediment to devotional service. Sometimes, however, the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee desires to impede one's devotional service. For example, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were formerly Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. But by the desire of the Lord, they became his enemies for 3 lives. Thus, the desire of the Lord is another kind of impediment. But in both cases, the pure devotee, once advanced in Krishna consciousness, cannot be lost. Following the orders of his superiors, Swayambhu and Lord Brahma, Priyavrat accepted family life. But this did not mean that he lost his position in devotional service. Krishna consciousness is perfect and eternal, and therefore it cannot be lost under any circumstances. Because the material world is full of obstructions to advancement in Krishna consciousness, there may appear to be many impediments. Yet, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, declares in Bhagavad Gita 9.31, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. Once one has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, he cannot be lost. In this verse, the word Shivatamam is very significant. Shivatamam means the most auspicious. The devotional path is so auspicious that a devotee cannot be lost under any circumstances. This is described in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavad Gita by the Lord himself. Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate. My dear Arjun, for a devotee, there is no question of being lost, either in this life or in the next. Bhagavad Gita 6.40. In Bhagavad Gita 6.43, the Lord clearly explains how this is so. Tatra tam buddhi sanyogam labhate paurvadehikam yatate chattato bhuyaha samsiddhau kuru nandana. By the order of the Lord, a perfect devotee sometimes comes to this material world like an ordinary human being. Because of his previous practice, such a perfect devotee naturally becomes attached to devotional service, apparently without cause. Despite all kinds of impediments due to surrounding circumstances, he automatically perseveres in devotional service and gradually advances until he once again becomes perfect. Bilvamangal Thakur had been an advanced devotee in his previous life, but in his next life, he became greatly fallen and was attached to a prostitute. Suddenly, however, his entire behavior was changed by the words of the very prostitute who had so much attracted him, and he became a great devotee. In the lives of exalted devotees, there are many such instances, proving that once one has taken to the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, he cannot be lost. Kaunteya pradijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. The fact is, however, that one becomes a devotee when he is completely freed from all reactions to sinful life. As Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 7.28, Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataham. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful reactions are completely eradicated, and who are free from the duality of illusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. On the other hand, as Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirna Krishne paratah svato vaham mithopi padyeta griha vratanam. The person who is too attached to materialistic family life, home, family, wife, children, and so on, cannot develop Krishna consciousness. These apparent contradictions are resolved in the life of a devotee by the grace of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, a devotee is never bereft of his position on the path of liberation, which is described in this verse as Shiva Tamam Padavim. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So it's another masterpiece purport by Srila Prabhupada. Many points he has made in this purport, but in the next half an hour or so, whatever time we have left, I will try to honor it. So first point Prabhupada is making is that once a devotee is always a devotee. Last week, on Sunday, I was driving my son, younger son, to the GGG, and I was wondering, why they would have named it Gopal's Glorious Gang. And then I thought, well, bhakti is like joining a gang. It's like a mafia. Once you are in bhakti, you are in. There is no getting out. Even if you change paths, even if lifetimes pass, but there is no getting out of bhakti. And we see many examples in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Narad Muni, he was in his previous life, he was a maid servant's son, was serving devotees, and by little devotional service, the association he had of the Bhaktivedantis, he served them, and by that little devotional service, in his next life, he became perfect in his devotional service. Then Bhagavatam gives us example of Bharat Maharaj. He was once very spiritually advanced, very strong in his sadhana, but he became attached to a deer. Then next life he takes a deer body, and then again he takes birth again as Jad Bharat, and his spiritual progress continues. So we see that bhakti gets carried forward even several lifetimes. Even King Chitraketu, first he was very attached to having a son, and then he gets blessing to get a son. Harshashok becomes the reason of his happiness and distress. Then the son dies. He becomes very distressed. And Narad Muni comes. Chitraketu accepts Narad Muni as his guru, and then Narad Muni gives him a mantra, and then he chants that mantra, does his sadhana, and he gets attracted because that mantra was Om Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhimahi. It was on Lord Shankarshan. So he does sadhana on that mantra, and then he has darshan of Lord Sankarshan. So in his next life, even though he gets a body of demon as Vritrasur, but he still continues his devotional attitude. Gajendra, in his previous life, he was King Indradyumna, and he recited beautiful prayers, and he was in the body of an animal. So there is no chance he learned those prayers in the body of animal. But when he was in distress in this life, when he was in the mouth of crocodile, then suddenly he remembered those prayers. So those impressions of bhakti, they never left his consciousness. And Bilvamangal Thakur, Prabhupada has given an example of him in the purport as well, that he was an advanced devotee at the level of bhava in his previous life, and then he became fallen in the next life. And just one comment from the prostitute Chintamani, that as much as you love me, if you love the Supreme Lord that much, then you could have attained the supreme bliss. So just one spark, and then bhakti becomes a fire, and he becomes a great devotee. So bhakti, it continues over lifetimes. In Bhagavad Gita 6.41, Krishna says, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Bhijayate. Yoga Bhrashta, unsuccessful yogi, what is his destination? First, he goes to Punya Lokas, the planets of pious living entities, and he enjoys the results of his pious karmas there. But after many, many years of enjoyment there, then Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe, he gets birth at the house of Shuchinam, pious people, and Shrimatam, of the Srimad, rich people. So even an unsuccessful yogi, the yogi that did not attain the destination, they can continue their path, their bhakti from wherever they had left off. So whatever credit, the pious credit, spiritual credit we earn by doing our bhakti, it never vanishes. It gets carried forward in our account. And when the time is right, Krishna arranges, for a favorable birth, and then he gives us the circumstances, so one can continue that journey. The nice example I remembered, our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Kadamkanand Swami Maharaj, he was once giving a class, and then he told the audience that I have some good news for you and some bad news for you. The good news is that congratulations, you all are very advanced devotees. In your previous lives, you have done tremendous devotional service, and you almost became a pure devotee. So the audience became very joyed that yes, Maharaj is recognizing, yes, we are very advanced devotees. So they are all smiling, very happy. And then Maharaj says, Guru Maharaj then says that the bad news is that you could have gone back to Krishna, but you decided to stay. You screwed it up. You had bhakti, you messed it up. So that is what happens. How do we mess bhakti up? So that is what Prabhupada has focused our most of the purport, most portion of our today's purport. He has focused, he has given a lot of focus on that. How do we mess up our bhakti? So yes, bhakti is very powerful, but there can be tests. You need to pass the test, and the test comes in the form of antaraya. Antaraya, that's the word in the verse, and then Prabhupada has translated it is impediment. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has analyzed these antarayas, these impediments, and then he has put them into two categories. One is Vaishnava Aparadh, offense to a Vaishnava, which is compared to a mad elephant ruining the garden, and it can devastate one's whatever little advancement they have made. Vaishnava Aparadh is one kind of impediment, and then other kind of impediment, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, is that sometimes antaray can come even by Lord's own arrangement, by his desire or by his devotee's desire. And that antaray, in that case, externally, it can pause, it can check someone's devotional service. An example given here in the purport is Jai Vijay. They became the enemies of the Lord for 3 lifetimes because they felt that that was Lord's will to enjoy Virya Ras. So that was sometimes antaray can come in some devotee's life because of Lord's desire or some devotee's desire. So then most of the purport Prabhupada has talked about Vaishnava Aparadh also. And now, we the second kind of impediment, Krishna's desire, we have no control on what Krishna can desire. He is Swarat, he is independent, supremely independent. But the first one, Vaishnava Aparadh, we do have control on our own behavior. That is something we can guard and we can avoid Vaishnava Aparadh. So see, we need to understand that when we are hearing whatever we are hearing, these Bhagavatam classes, these long purports on Vaishnava Aparadh, this is not just information. First, there is information we collect. We come to Bhagavatam classes daily. We collect a lot of information from a lot of different speakers. And then there should be contemplation. There should be absorption, and there should be absorption in bhakti in these lessons. And then it is meant for transformation. It should, whatever information we we are collecting, it should, it must translate into some transformation. It should bring some change in us. So, when Krishna says in Bhagavatam, we hear in Bhagavatam, in 9th canto, 4th chapter, 68, Krishna says, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham. So he says that devotees are very dear to me. I live in their heart. And not only that, he says that I keep them within my heart also. So, when we are trying to perform bhakti, especially when we are in this path of Krishna consciousness, devotees, association of devotees, it's a very integral part. We cannot avoid it. We cannot be impersonalist, and we cannot say that, I read in Bhagavatam, Vaishnava Pradis, mad elephant offense. So you know what I will do? I will avoid Vaishnavas only. Na rahega baas, na bajegi bansuri. I will not even meet devotees. I will perform bhakti on my own. I will read books on my own. No meeting devotees, so no chance of offending them. No, we can't do that. Association of devotees, mercy of devotees, that is actually the beginning of our faith in bhakti. Shraddha ratir bhakti anukramishyati. What is Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanadashvapavargavatmani Shraddharatir bhakti anukramishyati. It comes in 3rd canto 25-25. So in association of devotees, Satam Prasangam, that is Harikatha, what we are doing right now. So Harikatha is very pleasing to our own ears and our heart. It gives us bliss and knowledge, yes. We hearing them, hearing Harikatha, we advance on the path of liberation from the cycle of birth and death. And that is how, in the association of devotees, by hearing Harikatha, that is how Shraddha, Rati, Bhakti, faith, attraction, devotion, Anukramishati, they come one by one, step by step. So we need devotees. We need their Sangha. We need their blessings. We need their guidance to keep ourselves inspired and nourished in our spiritual life, even for such selfish reasons that, no, I need devotees. So, what is it that Rupa Goswami says? Utpata eva kalpate shruti smriti puranadi pancharatram vidhim vina ala ekantiki harer bhakti utpata eva kalpate. So you cannot perform bhakti in ekant, in solitude. Bhakti is bhakti by nature, by inherent nature. Bhakti is an associational, rational, relational path, because bhakti is not some technique that you learn the technique and then you just go and master it. Bhakti is service in the lineage. We serve Guru, we serve sadhus, we serve Shastra. So that's how bhakti, primarily bhakti gets planted into us by devotees. It gets carried through by devotees. And Shastras glorify devotee association so much. Even it says even a moment's association with a pure devotee can give us all the success. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrikaya, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhihaya. So, Shastras are never getting tired of glorifying the association of devotees. So, we do need devotee association, no doubt about that. But then, when Krishna says that devotees are so dear to me, it translates into that, blaspheming devotees, insulting them, criticizing them, harming them. It hurts him. It hurts the Supreme Lord directly. And even when Supreme Lord has come himself as a devotee, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who clearly says, when he is instructing Rupa Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Yadi Vaishnava Parada Uthe Hati Mata Upadeva Chinde Tara Sukhi Aya Pata. That bhakti, devotional service, is a seed. So which it's a seed that Guru plants in our heart. And then it's our job to water it by hearing and chanting, by Shravanam Kirtanam. So first, there is seed that Guru Vaishnava gives us, and then there is watering that we do. But there is the soil, and the soil has to be very fertile. So devotee association is considered to be the soil. So we need this meaningful, respectful friendships. We need inspiration. So we need, there is seed, watering, soil. And yes, when we are trying to grow something in our garden, we also need to protect it from the attackers, the insect, the pesticides. So it's our job to protect it. And for that, we need intelligence. We need vivek. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that when you are trying to cultivate your bhakti lata, the creeper of devotional service, vadi yadi Vaishnava aparadha, if you happen to commit a Vaishnava some offense, then if you do some offense at the feet of a Vaishnava, then this offense is compared to Hathi Matta, Hathi elephant, which is Matta, elephant who has gone mad. So he will come and uproot the creeper and break it. And the creeper, the vine, no matter how long, how big, how lush and green it has grown, once the root is damaged, then it automatically dries up all the way. So those who like gardening, I do, so they know that it takes a lot of care and attention and love and patience to create a garden, to maintain a garden. And imagine a mad elephant comes and he just ruins it all. I remember when I was young, still unmarried, I was at my parents' home, and it was the day next to Diwali. So in Gujarat, we celebrate it as New Year. So on that day, on that morning, I had gotten up early and I made a very nice, beautiful peacock rangoli outside my house. And then when I went inside, one of the neighbors, their cheeky 10-year-old daughter, she came and she purposely ruined the whole rangoli. And whole day I was so upset. I had spent hours doing that rangoli. So same goes for this garden, garden of bhakti. In our garden also, when some grasshoppers or some other insects, they infest and they start ruining our garden. It's very frustrating. And the garden of our bhakti lata, the pious and the spiritual credits that we have accumulated with great endeavor, with sadhana in this life, and who knows how many lives previously, it can all be destroyed by us doing an offense to a devotee. So we need to be very, very careful at each step, at each dealing with another devotee. And that is why attending to these Bhagavatam classes daily, it really helps us, because we know we are soldiers in the army of Srila Prabhupada. We distribute Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam sets. We inspire other people to get Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We announce this course. And yes, we know it will please Srila Prabhupada. We tell others the glories of Bhagavatam. But if we ourselves don't attend Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam classes, then we miss out on these daily reminders. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam daily is giving us so many examples, so many blind spots, so many warnings on the dangers that may come on the path of bhakti. So on this topic, of Vaishnava Aparad only, every now and then Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives us examples, reminders. So we see the example of Ambrish Maharaj. He invited Durvasa Muni as his guest, but then he took a little water to break Ekadashi fast before Durvasa Muni come. So just for that small reason, Durvasa Muni got offended. He created a fiery demon to kill Ambrish Maharaj. And then Ambrish Maharaj, being a devotee, he was tolerant. He did not retaliate. He didn't even move an inch from where he was standing. But Lord Vishnu, Sudarshan Chakra appeared there at once and killed that fiery demon. And then it started chasing Durvasa. So Durvasa, he fled everywhere in the universe. He didn't get shelter anywhere. Even he went to the abode of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. They said, we cannot save you. So there is no shelter anywhere in the universe for an offense to a Vaishnava. And finally, then we know Durvasa Muni went to Vaikuntha and he fell at the feet of Lord. And the Lord said that you have come in my shelter, but I cannot help you. You go talk to Amrish, my devotee. And now only his mercy can save you, not even me. Because Aham Bhakta Paradino, I'm completely under the control of my devotees. So finally, Durvasa Muni realized his mistake. He had to keep aside his false ego, his pride, to save his life. And then he approached Amrish Maharaj, fell at his feet. And then Amrish Maharaj prayed to Sudarshan Chakra to excuse Durvasa. So from Amrish Maharaj episode, what Bhagavatam teaches us, what we learn is that even the Lord doesn't forgive one who has offended his devotees. One can only be relieved from the effect of Vaishnava Prap if one begs for forgiveness directly from the devotee whom one has offended. Then Bhagavatam gives us example of Jad Bharat. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, but externally in that particular lifetime, he behaved like a dull, insignificant person, like a madman. He kept to himself, didn't interact with others so much. And it was purposeful so that in that life he can stay where he can stay safe from the materialistic association and disturbance, and he can just focus on his own bhakti. So once for Jad Bharat, when a band of dacoits they caught him, and they thought this is a nice healthy guy, and we will offer him as a human sacrifice, Narbali, to goddess Kali. So the dacoits were worshippers of goddess Kali, and they thought we will please her by giving this Narbali, this human sacrifice, and then in return she will give us some material powers. So that is what they had in mind, the transaction. And as a part of this made up ritual, they brought a sword. They took Jad Bharat to goddess Kali temple. There was her deity there. And then they did this ritual, brought a sword to cut off Jad Bharat's head. And Jad Bharat, he didn't protest, he didn't fight these dacoits, he didn't threaten them, he did not retaliate, nothing. He simply tolerated. But Mother Kali, standing as a deity, she could not tolerate this offense to a Vaishnava. So, she is not an ordinary Devata. She is also a Vaishnavi. She is also a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. So she was standing as a deity form in the temple. So her deity form, it broke open, and she manifested personally, and she immediately chopped off the heads of all of those so-called worshippers of her with the very sword they had brought to sacrifice Jad Bharat. So Bhagavatam by Jad Bharati's example is teaching us that this is the result of offending a devotee. A devotee may tolerate an offense against themselves, but goddess Kali, being a devotee herself, she might tolerate an offense against herself, but she did not tolerate the offense against another devotee, Jad Bharat, because such an offense pains the heart of Lord's devotee also and Lord also. So from Jad Bharat episode, what we learn, what did these Kali Bhaktas do? They approached a devotee of Lord Kali. They approached her for their own material gain, and in that course they offended a Vaishnava. So what we learn is that don't approach devotees to exploit them, or with some mentality, with some intention that we will have some selfish gain from them. We should approach devotees just for guidance, hearing Harikatha from them, so we can get purified, and there should be no material ambitions behind approaching devotees. And another example that comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita is of Ramchandra Puri. He was a disciple of the great saint Madhavendra Puri. So when Madhavendra Puri, when he was at the final stage of his life, he was chanting Krishna's holy name. He was crying in deep longing, "Oh Lord, when will I get your shelter?" And then his disciple Ramchandra Puri, he was there and he could not understand these ecstatic feelings of separation. So, instead of serving his guru and staying silent, he foolishly tried to teach the guru. He says, "Why are you crying? You should remember Brahman. You will feel so much bliss." So Madhavendra Puri immediately, he was in so much pain, but he immediately scolded him that, "Get out of here, you sinful rascal. I'm dying here without attaining Krishna's shelter. And this and you condemned fool, you are here trying to instruct me about Brahman, huh?" So, Madhavendra Puri kicks him out. And in the same situation, another disciple, Ishwar Puri, he behaved in a completely opposite way. He served Madhavendra Puri with humility in his last days. And then because of that service to the Vaishnava, he received Vaishnava's heartfelt blessings, his guru's blessings, and then later he also became a great lover of Krishna. But that first disciple Ramchandra Puri, because of his offense to his guru Vaishnava, he gradually developed material desires and he developed a critical nature. He kept criticizing everyone and ultimately he even criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his eating. So that way, by giving pain to Lord's associate, he was he earned the reputation among the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that everyone wanted to avoid him, and they all considered him as a very heavy burden on their heads. So what we learn from this example of Ramchandra Puri is that offenses to Guru, offenses to great devotees, they lead to these critical tendencies, criticizing, habit of criticizing other devotees, material desires, impersonalistic tendencies. And because of this, even other devotees, they want to avoid the offender's association. Because if someone has a great, a strong taste for criticizing others, then the best thing to do is to keep distance from such a person. So the science of Krishna consciousness is very inconceivable. We don't know how it works, but it does. So somehow by pleasing the Guru through service, our heart does become soft and it does develop love for Krishna. But on the opposite hand, by displeasing the Guru, the Vaishnavas, one does become a speculator, a critic. So these things do happen, and we should learn from these examples to please the devotees by sincerely serving. Even if we sincerely do whatever service we have got, even if we don't say anything, even if we don't go and serve the devotees themselves, just by us being sincere in our service, devotees automatically they feel pleased. And in third canto, when Lord Kapil, he explains devotion service in chapter 29, verse 22. I will read the translation, what Lord Kapila says. He says that one who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples, but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart. Such a person must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes. So someone who can give respect to the deity in the temple but cannot see that Paramatma is situated in every living being's heart. That is ignorance. Last example we will talk about is of King Rahugana. He was traveling in a palanquin. His servants needed a person to carry the palanquin, and they found Jad Bharat. And Jad Bharat, they made him carry the king's palanquin, but he was walking erratically because he was trying to be careful not to step on the ants on the path, because he didn't even want to offend or hurt those tiny living entities. Because he could see that I am a soul, that is a soul, and there is super soul in that body as well. So by him walking erratically, the palanquin was moving here and there, and then King Rahugan sitting in the palanquin, he got angry, and then he chastised Jad Bharat very badly, and he called him a rascal and said, I'm your master, I'm going to punish you like Yamraj. So Jad Bharat, he remained tolerant, and he just spoke some words of wisdom. He said that you can punish my body, but you cannot punish me. I'm a self-realized soul who is acting, just acting like a madman. So there is no use in punishing a self-realized person or a madman. So in that episode, Bhagavatam plainly says that the king Rahugan, he used these uncalled for, unnecessary words out of his passion and ignorance. But Jad Bharat, he was a topmost devotee, and Jad Bharat was a abode of the Lord. So what he did not retaliate, he tolerated, and he just spoke philosophy, tattva, that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. And that's a very crucial point, that devotee does not fight, does not defend, does not fight for the ego, but he will speak strongly on the principles of Krishna consciousness, so that what is the purpose? They're still seeing how they can benefit. They're feeling compassion for the offender, so they want to cut their illusion, and they want to save that offender. So that is when devotee speaks. So this is how Vaishnava Aparadh happens. We see the externals, I see the externals. I assume that I'm superior, then I speak harshly. And this is the cure. What we see in King Rahugana's example, he repented, and he surrendered to the devotee he had offended. So when Rahugan finally understood his mistake, then he became afraid of his offense, and then he begged forgiveness from Jad Bharat, and that is where the story turned from offense to mercy. So Bhagavatam has given us many, many examples on Vaishnava Aparadh, and Bhagavatam has shown us both sides, that Aparadh is deadly, it is like a mad elephant, but then humble repentance can revive one's life. So far in this purport, what we have discussed is, one point is that once a devotee is always a devotee. The credit in devotional life never vanishes, it carries forward. That's one thing. And then we have talked about the aparadh part, Vaishnava aparadh part. It is deadly. It is like a mad elephant. And the third aspect we saw is that repentance, a humble repentance, it can revive. It can again revive our devotional life. So devotional life can never diminish, but it can come to a pause because of impediments like Vaishnava Aparadh. But it can give us some pause into devotional life, but it can again revive if we have humble repentance and realization of what we have done. So in Padma Puran, there is a verse that says that somebody who offends the devotee, they displease Krishna. They lose their bhakti, they lose their opulence, they lose their knowledge. So there are many narratives that show how serious it is, how serious mistake it is to offend the Vaishnavas. And even if Vaishnav who is being offended, they will not make a big issue of it, like Amrish Maharaj didn't, Jad Bharat didn't. But Krishna becomes displaced, and then when Krishna is displaced, the taste for Krishna bhakti in the heart decreases, and the eagerness to hear Bhagavatam, the eagerness to hear Harikatha, chanting, the enthusiasm to chant, enthusiasm to serve, it becomes big. And these are the signs when we see in our spiritual life, when we see these signs, we should try to contemplate if we have made some Vaishnava aparadh. And the more severe offense we have done, the more blocked we may feel our spiritual progress is. So that is on Vaishnava Aparadh. So that's why we should be very, very cautious in our dealings with devotees, and we should avoid the offense. And we talked about repentance. The Lord is still ready to forgive even if we offend, if we truly repent and we sincerely beg for forgiveness from the devotee, not just as a formality, but we realize it in our heart and we do it with the heart. So along with asking forgiveness, one can serve the devotees or serve along with them, and that way try to please them. One can make an effort to notice their good qualities and glorify them. Lord Chaitanya used to, he would glorify the devotees as though he had 5 mouths. So always glorifying Lord and his devotees. So in this verse, there is a nice comparison, the analogy. It says about honey, nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet. So Vaishnav Ninda is like poison, but we don't want to drink poison, do we? We want to drink honey, the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet. So the glorification of Lord and his devotee, that is the nectar, that is the honey that neutralizes the effect of that poison. So offenses to devotees, they can obstruct our advancement, but then Bhagavatam also teaches us of the ways how we can neutralize the effect of that poison. And how we can get blessings of the devotees. So we should always try to keep to seek blessings of Vaishnavas and not commit any offenses against them. I heard in a class from Keshav Maharaj, he says that when we judge others, we don't improve. They don't improve. The relationship doesn't improve, and the situation doesn't improve. So it's easy to jump into conclusions and be very harsh with others. So I wish that I could be more patient, and I wish I could try to hear something that is unheard and see the hidden story behind making someone the way they are. So, we'll conclude soon. In this purport, we have clearly seen Srila Prabhupada's love for us. There was a simple question by Parikshit Maharaj. If Priyavrat is a devotee, how come he has accepted material life? And there is a nice verse. But how Prabhupada has presented that verse to us, we can see that his love for us is expressed as his careful guidance here. Just imagine all these things Srila Prabhupada is sitting in front of us, and he's telling us that yes, bhakti is not easy. You will be tested. You will need to be careful, but please don't live. Please don't ruin it. Please make sure that you go back to Krishna. So, in the first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada has explained, he's making these two contradictory confusing statements that one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness cannot embrace materialistic life again. Once a devotee, always a devotee, cannot become a materialistic person again. And then on the other hand, there is a statement that one who has embraced materialistic life cannot take up Krishna consciousness at any stage in their existence. So now when we read this kind of statement, when I read it, I stopped there only. That more about me. I wasn't born a devotee. I was once enjoying a materialistic life. So I fall into the second category. I was enjoying a self-centered life, Krishna-less life. we see many examples in Bhagavatam. Dhruv Maharaj, he wanted a kingdom greater than his great grandfather. So, when we read this kind of statement, when we read them flatly, that once a materialist, always a materialist, cannot become a devotee, then half of us, most of us, we will get disheartened. So Srila Prabhupada, he knows because that is what Parikshit Maharaj has been describing in verses 1 to 4. So Prabhupada knows what effect such statements can have on people like us. So prevent that, he is doing three things at once in this purport. First, he is reassuring the sincere practitioner. The verse says, Shiva tamam padavim na prayena hinvanti. That even if there are impediments, the devotee who has genuinely taken shelter doesn't give up. The auspicious position that he has attained never goes away. And so in the purport, Prabhupada, he expertly expands on that statement, Shiva tamam padavina prayena hinvanti. There is a very firm point Prabhupada makes, that bhakti is eternal. It will never get lost, even if you will get tested. The second thing Prabhupada is doing in this purport is that he is warning us. He is warning the serious, sincere practitioners of bhakti, who are a little bit advanced, and he's giving a very strong warning. And that is why we see such a long section of Vaishnava Aparadh, because it's a major danger that can ruin or stall the very hard to grow, the rare garden of bhakti. And at the same time, Prabhupada warns us, about this aparadh. So he gives us hope. He balances. He warns us against the aparadh. He says that Vaishnava aparadh can damage your bhakti. So don't ever do it. But if ignorantly you have happened to do it, be assured that you can fix your mistake. Bhakti will not get destroyed altogether. So don't become complacent. Have the fear of complacency, but don't lose hope. So he gives warning, but still gives us hope. And the third thing he does is he's solving these apparent contradiction. On one side, Shastra said, once you are advanced, you won't fall back. And then other side, they say, once if you are a Grihavrata, then you cannot take up Krishna consciousness. So both are there in Shastra, but Prabhupada explains how both can be true. So, there can be many wrong conclusions we may come up with when we read Shastra on our own. One can be that, if I was a materialistic one, if Grihavrata can never become a Bhakta, then what is the point in me trying to become Bhakta? So that is one wrong conclusion we can have. So Prabhupada clarifies that by grace of Krishna and by Sukruti, the purification by association with devotees, we can curb that. And then, we may come to wrong conclusion that, I'm a devotee, but all others, they are materialistic, they are all karmi, they can never become devotees. So what's the point of me trying to preach to them? So that also Prabhupada clarifies. And then, one might think that, Shastra said, once a devotee, always a devotee. Then if I'm a devotee, I'm always guaranteed the Shiva Tamam Padavim. So the offenses don't matter. So one may think like that. So then Srila Prabhupada has warned us against that also. So like that, Prabhupada has in this purport established, clarified how the apparent contradictions are resolved in the life of a devotee. So by our own material conditioning, it can block our receptivity of bhakti. But if real bhakti has begun and it's matured, it can never ultimately lost. There are, many things that can be said on this topic, but I think I should conclude here. So three things, simple takeaway from this purport. Prabhupada is saying, be hopeful. Sincere bhakti will never get wasted. He's saying that be careful. Aparadh can seriously delay your progress. But still be realistic. The material world will throw impediments to us. But be assured that the path you are on Krishna consciousness is Shivatamam. It's most auspicious. So with that, I'll pause here. Please forgive me for the long banter. But if you have any questions, comments, corrections, realizations, please feel free to share.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat
Thank you
Pranam.
for your superb class as always. Mataji, I have a question, but I also have some additions. It may take a little bit of time, but please bear with me. See, the thing is that when we become devotees, we've got a Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. We surrender with intelligence. We don't surrender our intelligence. It's a very important point. We surrender with intelligence. We don't surrender our intelligence. Now, although I hear what you're saying, and it's absolutely true from a Vedic point of view, but still we have to be very mindful and careful on how we proceed in this way, because, I'm going to quote a few things about Srila Prabhupada. See, the question that I have, or the contribution I have, is a very delicate one, and it requires a bit of intelligence, it requires a bit of experience, and it requires a bit of maturity. So because we're all mature devotees, we can understand this, and we've been around a long time, so we can't be misled. So we use the fear of God, the fear of deviating from God, to make us to follow submissively, and in some ways, in many ways, blindly as well. So, like I said, bear this in mind: we surrender with intelligence, we do not surrender our intelligence. So therefore comes the paradox, right? How do we identify whether we're following a devotee or we're following a deviant? Because not everyone in a devotee is a devotee, right? And so what happens is, then when we follow, sometimes we may follow somebody who is completely deviant, who have ulterior motives rather than what's best for Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. Now, I'm going to quote a few things, like so persons when these are quotes from Bhagavatam and from Srila Prabhupada, right? Persons will know things as they are and still does not bear witness becomes involved in sinful activities. That Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 590. Right? Prabhupada mentioned once says, but one who tolerates mischievous activities, he is also culprit. If you are mischievous, you are criminal. But if you tolerate mischievous activities, you're also criminal. Criminal Conversation on the 3rd of May, 1973. One who is mischievous, what Prabhupada mentioned, he is culprit. But one who tolerates mischievous activities is also a culprit. Right? Conversation on July 9, 1975 with Arikesh is they are being quiet. They are too afraid to say. Prabhupada, that means that they are accepting. When they are quiet means munam shayatam rakshanam. If there is some argument and you remain quiet, that means indirectly you accept. Srila Prabhupada in May 17, 1975 in the morning walk regarding the position of a person who does not speak even when he knows the truth. Jani Shakti Nani Deha Tara Papa Haya. A person who knows things as they are and still does not bear witness becomes involved in sinful activities. Religious principles have certainly been violated in this assembly. One should not remain even for a moment in a place where irreligion is flourishing. A wise person should not enter an assembly if he knows that participants there are committing acts of impropriety. And if, having entered such an assembly, he fails to speak the truth, speaks falsely, or pleads ignorant, he certainly incurs sins. This is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Pratikara Udeshara Sajana Tashani. In the name of bhakti, in many places, people are engaged in illicit anti-bhakti activities. And in the name of practicing bhakti, if one does not expose those cases very clearly, then pure bhakti will not be victorious or be established. So here's a quote here from Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So my question is, from these points is that, see, we make a point of following, not causing a Vaishnava parade, but we saw in our own organization's history how much so many aggressive activities have been conducted because we were forced to remain silent, or forced to be submissive, and forced to follow blindly. So where do we draw the line between crossing the line and becoming aparadis ourselves, or following aparadis and standing up for the truth and saying this is not acceptable. So when we stand up for the truth and we say this is not acceptable, is that an aparad, and is that the cause of the mad elephant breaking our bhakti? Because one other thing is, if you remember, when Krishna went to the house of Duryodhana and to try to mediate, Duryodhana said, "I'm also your nephew. You're also my uncle. I'm also your family. Why are you not accepting my hospitality, my food, my reception?" So Krishna said, "Let me be quite frank with you." Use the word, "Let me be quite frank with you. I do not accept anything from the hand of somebody who is irreligious." Or so then he went down to to a devotee's house who is a Sudra, and he took banana peels from the hands of his wife. So the question is now, comes back to the same question: is where do we identify? When do we open our eyes and see? And when is it aparad when we exercise the right from wrong? So I'm sorry if it was a long one, but I just had to set the foundation as well, so that we don't follow blindly, and we're not forced to follow blindly because we are threatened threatened that we will go to Yamuraj, or we threaten that we lose our bhakti if we do not follow blindly, we do not follow submissively, even when there's irreligion taking place. Thank you, Mataji, and apologize in advance if I offended anybody.
Not at all, Dhruv. Thank you so much for bringing up these points and very important points also. So at the same time, we study Shastra, we see what Shastras say about Vaishnava Prad. Yes, we need to be careful. But as you said, we need to have, as devotees, we need to have intelligence also. And in one place, Srila Prabhupada himself has said that ISKCON cannot be damaged, cannot be harmed from outside. ISKCON can only be harmed from within. So I hear what you are saying, how to differentiate between a devotee and a deviant. How do we know when we are doing Vaishnava Aparadha and when we are not? Because that is the fear that makes a lot of us remain silent about certain things, because we are fearful that we don't want to offend any Vaishnavas. They are all Vaishnavas. So I think the practical ways to protect our bhakti lata, our own bhakti lata, and to deal with whatever is going on. If we face some deviations, and whether we choose to expose, as you said, or we support them or not, how do we deal with all this? So I would say three things we can do. First of all, we can be strong in our sadhana, our hearing, and then we do our seva sincerely. That will please the devotees and our guru. But personally, I think we need to avoid criticizing devotees. We live in material world. We live in the world of dualities. There is good, bad, right, wrong. But bhakti, these are material things. Bhakti is above, bhakti is beyond, bhakti is transcendental. So, the offense will start for me if I try to judge other devotee, and that will start in my mind only. And in ISKCON, we have very, very diverse culture, people from many countries, many financial backgrounds, many economic backgrounds, many cultural backgrounds. They all come here. And they all bring their positives and their negatives, their strength and weaknesses. So first of all, I would focus on guarding myself against doing any aparad. So I can analyze these things by asking, by considering these few things, that maybe I'm not wrong, but maybe he's also right. For him to be right, I don't have to be wrong. Sometimes, a point of view is different. Then the thing is, maybe he doesn't know what is right. So in saying that, we can try to talk to that person. Then the thing would be that maybe I don't know what is right. Maybe he doesn't know. That's second thing. Third thing is maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know the whole picture. Maybe I don't know the full story. So, if we put like a $1 coin in front of our eye, and then sun is still there, we are trying to see, but we can't see because our eyes are blocked. So maybe there is something that I don't know. And maybe their intention is right. We what we do is when it comes to us, we judge based on we judge ourselves based on intention, but we judge others based on their actions. So the way they are doing things may be different, but maybe their intention is right at the end of the day. Krishna consciousness. So something then other parameter I can think is that maybe something else is right. Something else about that person is right. Every person has, maybe in one aspect, maybe they are not right, but they have a lot of other right things. So, we can appreciate those good qualities, glorify them, and that way we can guard ourselves from doing that offense against that Vaishnava. So, Prabhupada, someone complained to Prabhupada that, oh, Prabhupada, that devotee, whenever he comes in front of you, doesn't pay obeisances to you. The Prabhupada said, no, but I see him offering tulsi every day. Then someone complained to Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, Yamuna, she doesn't come and sit in the kirtan. But Prabhupada said, but she is always busy cooking for the deities. She dresses deities so nicely. So Prabhupada also, he focused on the good qualities. And the other thing we can think is that the ultimate result is right. Nothing happens without Krishna's desire. So we can pray to Krishna that, that devotee learns what Krishna is trying to teach. And may I learn what Krishna is trying to teach me by putting me in this situation. Krishna is in their heart also. Krishna knows that this is happening, and Krishna will take care of that devotee. And then we can pray for the right thing. Krishna, I'm not able to see good in this situation, in this person, but I don't want to see bad in any devotee. So please protect me. Please, Krishna, please get rid of this mad elephant that is trying to crush my Bhakti Lata. I tried on my own, but I couldn't protect. So I may have done some aparadh. So please help me protect my Bhakti Lata. I really want to come to you, and I cannot afford that this issue or this person, I cannot afford to let them stand between me and Krishna. And sometimes, we can write the right thing. If we write down the issue, if we write to the devotee to appreciate them, message them on their birthday, we can still be nice, even if we don't agree on certain things, right? So when we write, and on even journal writing, sometimes when we write, then it makes us realize, how trivial the matter is if we consider the whole big picture. So, Keshav Maharaj, he says something I heard this morning only. I forgot that, but I think you're very right, and I know where you're coming from. But for me personally, my priority is to protect my bhakti. So yes, if I see some deviation, what I will do is I will not try to expose it publicly or make a big issue of it. I will talk to that person one-on-one that, see, this is what I think is happening here. And then the thing I can do is I can step away, and then I can do some positive counteract seva, constructive seva. So I can do something to strengthen ISKCON. So these are the few things, we can do positive counter service, instead of resisting and resenting what someone is doing. We can close that door. We can still wish well, but then, three other doors will open for us for the opportunity to do counter service, and in the end that will help our movement more. So, to say no with a style. So,
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. I see Jamuna Mataji just mentioned something about devotional service as an answer. So in that regard, devotional service is a matter of perspective. In Bhagavad Gita, it says action in action and inaction in action. So devotional service is different depending on your motive to serve the Lord. Now, I wasn't talking about disagreements or disputes on how we should execute I was talking about the more grander deviations. And in that respect, because it's a subject matter at hand, I will give you one example. So what happened is, we saw that a lot of our parents took their children and left them in the care of gurukuls. And for years and years and years, these children were exploited and molested. And everyone chose to keep quiet because they were afraid of Vaishnava aparad, because the person was doing it was a very, very senior guru. Now, in cases like this, if we chose to speak up, we would save our children, we'll save the society, and we would progress more confidently in our spiritual lives. I was talking more on the bigger picture rather than just a dispute between two devotees or disagreements on how it should be executed. We are talking more on a grander scale, on a grander level. And so therefore, in those situations where there's undisputed activities that happen, that we should not keep quiet in that circumstance. In fact, in those circumstances, it is great aparad, and a proper emphasize it's the sinful activities, and we become party of the sin just by keeping quiet. So I hope I clarified that. Like I said, it wasn't about small things or you got one way, I got one way. These things will happen because we're living in a time of hypocrisy and quarrel. So I was looking more on the bigger picture. So sorry if I offended anyone. I can see that I've I've stirred up a little bit of emotions, but this is Krishna known as Rasaraj. When we follow devotional service, we also need to engage in the different emotions to please the Supreme Person of Godhead and to please Srila Prabhupada and to protect our society. Thank you, Mataji. And again, I please accept my obeisance if I offended anyone.
not at all, Prabhu. Thank you so much for bringing.
Hare Krishna, it has been a nice discussion. Bhavamayi, such a beautiful class, and you mentioned, I just want to see that Srila Prabhupada said that one should not find fault with others or correct them unnecessarily. Of course, to call a thief is not fault finding. So actually, Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita, if somebody wants to read it, it is in the purport 16, chapter 1 to 3 purport, he has mentioned. And also in one lecture in 1967, 3rd of February, he says, it's the duty of devotees not to tolerate blasphemy. So this is very great. But there is an incident also we can see in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Lord Chaitanya went to the house of Sarvabhauma Prabhu, and he had made so many preparations there. And when Lord sat there with love and all that, he partake all those. And then his son-in-law Amog Lila comes and he says, oh, you are a sannyasi, and he is eating so much. So then Sarvabhauma became very, very sad about that. And he said that this is a grievous type of Vaishnava aparad. And he said that, it's not really good that what he did. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, what Amog Lila said, it was correct because I'm a sannyasi and I should not be eating that much. So look at the mercy and compassion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Though he said all that, but he, in order to pacify Sarvabhauma, that it's not that you have done any offense. Anyway, I will finish. There are so many things. It's already 9 o'clock. Thank you very much. Always nice to hear from you. And thank you very much again. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Mataji. All glories to assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
Inspiring me and allowing me
Our
to
grace Bhavamayi Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Hi.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur
Jai.
Bhakta ki jai.
Jai. Haribol.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, devotees, for joining,
Thank
and
you.
apologies for the long discussion.
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Mataji. Such a good class. Haribol. Thank